Hey guys, welcome to another video. This one's a little bit different. I wanted to get back into making videos for YouTube, and I used to just make gaming videos, but I wanted to kind of get into something else. As some of you know, I am a police officer in real life. I've been doing it for almost 4 years now. And so I thought, it'd be cool to kind of do some videos, kind of show you the type of gear that I use, my EDC, or everyday carry, as they may say. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So we're going to start off on this end and move our way that way. Starting off, I've got my magazine pouch, and this would sit directly on my front of my belt. I carry a Glock 22, no? Yeah, Glock 22, sorry, 40 caliber. And we have nylon belts that we use for our everyday on patrol use. And then we've also got basket weave, and these are kind of hard, difficult to get back. Screw it, we're not even going to worry about it. Moving on to that, I've got a double pouch. As you can see, I've only got one handcuff pouch, if you look on the whole belt. And this is also, it goes right on my front. And inside, closer in, are my silver handcuffs. They've got my name on them, etched, because cops like to steal handcuffs. I don't know why. And then inside here, you've got your hinged handcuffs. These are obviously very old and rusty. I'm sorry. I take a lot of folk to jail. And the theory behind this is that, number one, I don't like having things on my back. And number two, if I'm arresting a person, I'd rather keep my hands in front of me. So it's very easy to go from putting their hands behind their back to reaching just like that, just turning my hand, pulling out the handcuffs, and then applying them, as opposed to putting their hands behind their back and then taking one hand completely out and putting it behind my back just to get handcuffs. The other thing about having hinged and these are normal chain handcuffs is which one I use usually depends on the amount of resistance that the person is giving me. So if the person is I'm able to kind of talk them into handcuffs, they're easygoing, that's all right, I don't really have to fight with them, then I'll put on the chain handcuffs. It's easier on them, and it allows them a little bit more free movement and stuff like that. It's a little bit more comfortable for them. If somebody is fighting, if I've had to fight somebody or chase somebody, then I go to the hinged handcuffs. And the reason I use the hinged handcuffs is they're a lot easier to put on somebody forcefully. So if I put on one cuff, I know where the other cuff is automatically. I don't have to try to hold it a certain way. Like with these, like you can hold it one way, this way, and then you see, and you may be hitting it backward and like smashing their wrist in because you're holding it the wrong way. So with these, it's a lot easier. You know which side they're on. You can slap them on there. You're more moving that person's hand to the cuffs than you are moving the cuff to their hand. And that's why I do it like that. I'm not going to mess with trying to put those back. This is my duty firearm. It is a Glock 22, I'm pretty sure. If I'm not mistaken. It does have a weapon light on it. It's a TLR 1HL. Pretty nice firearm. I'm not going to unload it or anything like that. But I've also got a little grip on it. This just helps make sure that my hand, whenever I'm shooting or whatever, that my hand doesn't get sweaty and start to slip from the firearm or whatever. Holds 16 rounds, 15 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, and then I've got another 15 here. This is my Baton. I keep this right behind my firearm. This is actually kind of a new addition to my belt because I used to carry my Baton over here, but I decided to kind of change things up for a little bit, see how I like it, and this is where I get. Usually though, there's nothing here on my back. As you can see, this would be where the middle of my back would be, somewhere around here. And as you can see, there's nothing here. And the reason for that is because, I work 12-hour shifts. You're sitting in the car for a long period of time. And that can start to get very annoying, having stuff kind of digging right into the small of your back. I've only been doing this for about 4 years. I'm only 24 years old. So, already I have like little back problems and little pains and stuff like that. And it's just a lot easier to keep stuff off your back. The other thing is that if you're in a fight or something like that and you happen to fall on your back, or you jump over a fence and you fall down going over on the other side of that fence on your back, you don't want something hitting you right in the spine, because that's obviously bad news bears. This is my flashlight. It's a Stinger Streamlight. This is actually a new flashlight. I had one that I had been using pretty much since I became a cop. And this flashlight is freaking awesome. It's like a spotlight in your hand. And I lost my other one, so I had to buy that. That's the only reason why I had to get a new one. But this is pretty cool. As you can see, it puts out a lot of light, which is very useful at night. What I don't like about this new one that I liked about my old one is that it had a button up here. So I could pull this out and then kind of hold it out like that. And there was a button I could press. And I could hold my flashlight out like this, as opposed to moving my hand down here and kind of maneuvering my hand and kind of holding it like it's a pen or something like that. But I use it now. It's still a great light. It does its job. So, I can't really complain. In it, I've got a little hole D-ring holder. I prefer this because it allows a lot more movement on my belt. Whenever I sit down, I can just move the light to go with wherever the seat is going, as opposed to having a fixed, just like the Baton, having something fixed that's digging into my back every time I sit down or move around or something like that. This kind of moves with me, and I really like that. The other thing is that whenever I switch to day shift, I usually don't carry a full big flashlight on me. So this is very easy to just, when I'm on days, just pop this and just leave this in the car and not have to take everything off my belt just to remove this. So that's why I carry that. This is a Motorola APX radio. These are actually new. We just got these. Older ones were, probably about that much bigger. And then my nice little thing here. It's got my lapel mic. It's got controls for radio volume and an emergency button. So if I'm doing something, then I can hit this button. In my experience, when I've started to fight somebody or something like that, and I need to get on the radio, but my hands are obviously doing stuff because I'm in a fight, I have tried to find this button, and that just takes a hand out of the fight. And it got to the point where I was so frustrated, I literally just as I'm fighting, just got so frustrated, I just grabbed my mic on my chest and just started screaming into it. Y'all get over here and y'all help me. It's a lot easier to just, when I'm having somebody that's resisting a little bit, kind of press this button. And what's nice about it is when you press it, it automatically shuts everybody else off. Nobody else can speak. And then it automatically opens up your mic. So anything that is said, this mic will transmit, and does that for about 10 seconds, I think. So if I'm fighting, there have been times where I haven't even had to say anything on the radio. I haven't had to say, hey, 495, can I get another unit over here? I literally just, if I'm fighting somebody, I'll literally just hit the button and just keep addressing that person. Hey, man, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. And that way my backup, my partners know, hey, he's in trouble, he's fighting, where is he? And they know to just check the computer to find out where I am and to come and assist me. So it's very nice having this button up here. It's a lot easier to find. It's a lot easier to hit and use. This is the X26P. This is the Taser that is issued in my department. As you see, I've got it on the light and laser setting here. These things are cool because, my department, if you look at these tasers, some of them have a little extra cartridge on here. And when we had the older tasers, the original X26 tasers, I liked it because I could keep my extra cartridge on a little holder right here at the end of the battery. And as you can see, I don't carry my extra cartridge here because I'm a pretty skinny guy and there's just not enough space for me to keep that. So I usually just keep it in the car, but I could keep it on the end of the taser, and that was cool. When we moved to these, the department got these new batteries. And what it does is that once you activate the taser, no matter what happens, it will go for 5 seconds, and then it will automatically shut itself off. And if you want it to continue going, you have to release the trigger and press it again. So what that does is that if you tase a person, in the past, what would happen is officers would press the trigger, they'd tase a person, they'd be tasing them, tasing them, tasing them, tasing them, tasing them. The seconds that that Taser says you're supposed to tase them for safely, that will go by and they'd still be tasing. And it wasn't because the officers were trying to be mean or trying to be a-holes about it. It was just because in the moment with adrenaline going, you know, you tase a person, you know, you're yelling at them, you're giving them commands, and you simply forget that your finger is on the trigger. And that was obviously causing people to get tased a lot more than usual. I can say from personal experience, I've tased one person, and that one time it happened to me where I pressed the trigger and, you know, the adrenaline's so up, your finger is just on the trigger and it's still going. And it's a good thing that my department had the forethought to buy these, because after a certain point, the Taser stopped, but my finger was still on the trigger. And I was like, oh yeah, crap. I need to take my finger off the trigger and do what I need to do, revert back to my training. So that's what's on the belt. Some other just kind of things that I carry with me. Obviously, we got gloves. I usually keep these in a back pocket or a cargo pocket. These are obviously very good. I also keep some nitrile gloves as well. These I usually keep in my vest. We have outer carriers, so I'll put these on my vest. Anytime I wear the Class B, the button-up shirt or the zip-up shirt, I'll just zip down my shirt and then tuck these into my vest. My armor vest. I always carry a backup flashlight, day shift or night shift. And it's good because sometimes at night shift, you're going to forget, you're going to drop this, or this is going to pop out somewhere and you really need a flashlight. Anytime you need a flashlight, you need a flashlight. So that's why I always keep this on me. Even on day shift, when you may not think you need one, you end up in a dark basement or something like that and you can't see, and you don't really want to use the flashlight on your gun. So it's always good to just keep a little flashlight on you. As you can see, this has been just torn up. I've had this for years. This is a Tactical A1. It's great. It's got strobe modes and all that other stuff, and it's very bright too itself. That's one of the things I love about it. I also keep a little Smith & Wesson knife on me. This for various reasons. It's got a window breaker on the back. As you can see, this one has been kind of torn up as well. But there are various reasons why you want to carry this. If you ever need to cut anything, cut a seatbelt off a person. What I used to use this for, which is actually a bad practice, which you shouldn't do, is when I would test drugs, I would use this to do the drugs so I wouldn't have to touch it myself. I would use this to kind of like cut off pieces of marijuana or break off a little piece of cocaine and then put it into a test kit or something like that. And then just kind of wipe it off and, you know, throw it back into my vest. But there are reasons why you don't want to do that. Number one, you don't want to cross-contaminate the evidence, you know, and stuff like that. I can get into that in another video, but that's going to be too hard for me to try to figure out how to do. Obviously, a little watch, a little Casio watch. It's got a little bit of scratches on it. It's a very basic watch, but I love it because it tells you every bit of information that you may need to know. The day of the week, the year, the month, the date, the time, and if it's in the PM, it switches to military time. So, you know, I'll see a lot of people, they wear fancy watches and big G-Shocks and all this other stuff like that. When you're at work, you kind of just want your watch to give you information. You don't need all the other flashiness, in my opinion. So I love this watch. It's cheap. It's $20, and these things last like years. These are the suspenders that I wear under my external vest. So I'll put on my, I'll put on the polo shirt that goes up under the vest. I'll put these on, and then I'll put the vest on under these. These are awesome, but what I wanted to show you is that I've got a little lanyard attached to the keeper that goes into the loops that attaches to the belt. And this holds your extra key. And this is helpful because cops do lock themselves out of cars. I have responded to other officers on traffic stops that have called for help, that they were in need of backup. And when I get there, I find out, hey, I locked myself out of my car. Can you unlock my car for me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Of course I can, bro. I got you. But this is really cool. It's really nice because I can tuck this into my belt when I'm not using it. And then instead of having to reach into my pocket and dig and try to find my extra spare key, I can just pull this up, pull it out. It's on a little lanyard. And then when I'm done, it zips back in, tuck it back into my belt, and then I'm in the car and then I'm going. So, and oh yes, that's the last thing. Other thing, my notepad. I won't really go into the details of what it is and what it says, but This is my notepad. These are actually issued by my department. I've kind of blocked out the department name, but it gives you like your Miranda warning and all that stuff like that. This is really cool. This is a really good piece of information when you're on the street. And obviously having a notepad, this is like one of the most powerful tools on here, because you can use your notepad during an interview to kind of get information that you want, helping you take down what the person's saying so that you can kind of read back on your notes later and catch folk in lies and stuff like that. And we can get into those videos, and there are a lot of videos out there. Free field training, you know, he's the guru on this kind of stuff, and he'll tell you the notepad is one of the most important things on your belt. But that has been my belt. Let me know what you guys think. My take-home car is actually in the shop right now. I got into an accident, so I can give you a tour of a pool car so y'all can see the cars and what we kind of carry in our vehicles. But let me know what you guys think about this video. If you want to see more videos like this, just let me know. And obviously like, comment, subscribe, so I have the motivation to do this kind of stuff more often. Thanks, guys. See you later.